Right, and welcome back to another episode of the Branching Out podcast. It's a special one today. We're talking GC Grow and apprenticeships with Tyra Harris, our qualifications coordinator here at Ground Control, and Grady Edgington, our trainee ARB surveyor. So welcome you two. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Jax.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Yes. So I'm just going to have us start off a bit. Obviously, I've given your job titles, but what do those job titles mean? So if you could introduce yourself, Grady, I'll have you go first. Could you just give us a little bit about what it is you do here at Ground Control?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Grady, as you said, and I'm currently trading as an arboricultural surveyor at Ground Control. This includes basically learning a lot about trees, how to survey them, and I do this across a range of sites, looking at their health and conditions and identifying any risk basically that they might pose to anyone, and then creating a report for the clients with any work recommendations to make sure their sites are safe and compliant. Yeah, and before this, I worked on the graduate scheme, the rotational scheme. I know you've had a few in the past,
Yep.
so I won't get into this too much. But yeah, I just moved around the divisions and got a real feel for how the business operates, and then this is how I came into this role as a surveyor.
Okay.
And yeah.
And what division, what area? Because there's lots of we do. For those who might not know, we do obviously tree surveying on rail, utility, special sites. What kind of what part of the world or what part of the UK anyway are you exploring each week?
So I go for a range of places at the moment as I'm training. I just try and get out to as many sites as possible. So
Okay.
I'm Midlands based, but yeah, I get out anywhere on a range of different sites. Currently been doing the canals and river trust.
Okay,
So
cool.
walking the canals across Birmingham and Coventry, which is quite interesting. A lot of walking, but when the weather's nice,
Yeah, I
it's
was
all
gonna say
right.
it's gotta be at least a bit more pleasant than some of the other places we tend to end up.
Yeah,
But yeah.
definitely.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you very much. Tyra, could you just, obviously we work together, so I will give that as a spoiler, but could you introduce yourself a bit? What is a qualifications coordinator?
Yeah, so I work in the L&D team with Jess, and I predominantly look after GC Grow and our apprentices, but I've also recently taken over looking after MVQs as well, so that's very new to me. But yeah, mostly look after GC Grow and our apprentices.
Helping people through their learning journeys, I guess, maybe.
Yes, exactly.
So for those who maybe don't know so much about GC Grow, the apprenticeships, all the MVQs, all that you just mentioned, could you just explain to us a little bit about how it all works?
Yeah, so for apprenticeships, so we've got two types of apprentices. So those who join ground control as an apprentice, so they normally at the start of their career, kind of early, maybe school leavers. And then we've got, so GC Grow is for those that are employed by ground control already, but they want to upskill in their job. So as long as it meets your kind of the criteria for the apprenticeship meets your job role, you can enroll. And what you're doing in your day-to-day job should meet the what you'll be doing for your endpoint assessment. So you'll be working on a portfolio throughout your apprenticeship. You'll have assignments, so you should get time in your job to complete the assignments, but also just tasks that you're doing within your job go towards that as well. So as long as you're logging everything in your portfolio and it all meets the knowledge, skills and behaviours that make up the apprenticeship, you submit that on your portfolio, and it all goes towards that endpoint assessment that you'll then be completing, which is basically the end to achieve the apprenticeship, where you do an interview. Some have a little exam as well, or a presentation as well.
Okay, very good. So it really covers, like for Grady, who's just starting out, he did the graduate program, to someone, even if like we'll pretend that I'm working in the industry and not in support services, and I guess in support services, because I'm sure there's NVQs and apprentice things that will cover learning and development. but it could cover really anyone that's kind of quite settled in
Yeah.
their career to someone who's just starting out, really.
Yeah, definitely. There are qualifications at L&D as well, Jess.
Okay,
They're
there you
just
go. Maybe.
yeah, there's loads, there's hundreds and hundreds. We have a guide that was sent out at the beginning of when we launched GC Grow in October that highlights a few that we thought might be quite popular, but there are so many.
Yeah. Okay.
So I get a lot of requests through, even just people that want to do something but they don't actually know. So as long as I've got a bit about their job role, what they do, I can do some research and find something relevant. There won't be something for every single job role, but there are loads and loads out there, and especially like progression as well. So obviously Grady's on the level 4. There is also the level 6, should he want to do that in the future. But yeah, it's a great way
No
to
pressure.
progress as well. Yeah,
Let's let you get number 4 done, level
yeah.
4 done first, Grady, and then we'll put on the pressure for number 6.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Grady, could you share us a little bit about your experience in the program, and exactly what you are studying? Because I know there's a few different ARB qualifications out there.
Yeah, so I'm studying the level 4 diploma in arboriculture and as part of the apprenticeship. And this is a 2-year course, starting in September. And it just goes for 2 years as it would at a normal college course. And yeah, you study a range of topics from tree biology and soil science to surveying techniques and tree management and recommendations.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great way to learn whilst also putting what you've learned into practice when you're out on sites, because you get that hands-on experience that really helps that information stick,
Yeah.
and it's really relevant to your day-to-day tasks.
Yeah, what little I know a little about a lot of different things at ground control, but trees is one thing I have spent a little bit more time on for training back in the day. And there is a lot, like you don't realize how much actually goes into arboriculture. And if you really get into it, like how certain trees actually have to be managed certain ways. And it's just, it is really interesting. So I can imagine, yeah, being able to, you learn it and then you then can almost immediately apply it to what you're doing. Must really, yeah, it really takes it home. And then like that really becomes like a part of your kind of every day, and it'll just grow and grow from there.
Yeah,
So I mean, I know there's a lot, so because obviously there's getting to know all the different tree species and their pests and how they need to be managed and where they tend to grow, all of that. And then there's obviously work. Ground control is a busy place. We are a busy company. We move very, very fast. So how do you balance kind of that fast-paced work environment with your studies? Like I'm imagine you I mean, what I do know from people in our team that have done some apprenticeships, there is some like remote, I don't know, remote classes, like there's some remote work that you do, but then, yeah, I guess, can you give us a little bit about how you balance it all?
yeah. So most of my studies are all online.
Okay.
So yeah, it's quite flexible. A mix of like pre-recorded lectures,
Uh-huh.
guided lessons, and then you've got the self-directed study and all the reading material you have to go through.
Okay.
And then of course, then you've got the flip side of that, which what you've learned, you then go out on site and apply that learning to real world situations. It helps it really bring it all together. But yeah, it can be challenging sometimes, but yeah, it fits quite naturally into my job role, and my team are really supportive and give me that time to as much time as I need to do
Yeah.
what I need to on my apprenticeship side.
That, and I think that's the thing is that like Tyra said, there's a criteria to making sure it's really matching what it is that you are doing so that it kind of flows all together nicely, and I think it supports you in developing in your role. Um, but yeah, there's that challenge. Obviously, you said your team is supportive and allows you time to do your studies. Is that something that you do weekly, or is it how, like, what kind of time do you put to it?
Yeah, so usually I take the Friday to do my college work.
Okay.
So this will include doing watching the online lectures, reading on all the material, and then obviously doing the assignments as well. But in the week or coming up to exam season or assignment season, if I do need any extra time, my team are always and my managers are happy to give me that extra time if needed, to focus on doing them.
I think, yeah, that's really good. And that's kind of key for managers to understand, is that, I mean, the return that they get from you understanding that is like that you're learning that through this program versus them trying to train you at the same time. And that it does kind of investing your time now, like as much time as it will like really like benefit you and your team and the business in the long run. And that's, I think, a big thing for managers to make sure they do understand there is that time requirement, but you know, you're getting so much knowledge and you're getting so much use from it. I'm sure there's things that maybe they've forgotten about from back in the day when they did their studies that you're like, oh, I learned this today. And they're like, oh, yeah. And so this might be a good refresh as well, I can imagine, from a manager standpoint. So what have you taken away so far from the experience?
Yeah, the main takeaway really of what is, I think, the apprenticeship, because I've done a degree in the past and I think the apprenticeship is a lot better, is because you're learning whilst you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're just constantly reinforcing that knowledge every day, every time you're out. And you're not just memorizing it to pass an exam or complete an assignment at the end of the module. You actually get to put that learning into real world situations every time. And that really helps the information stick, and helps you get up to speed with the content a lot faster than it would be if you was just studying alone or studying to pass that final exam.
So has that kind of changed how you work then? Is that like you learned something new that week, say, on the Friday? How does that change your approach to work, I guess?
Yeah, so definitely when I learn on the Friday, and then I go out the next week and basically speak to my colleague who I'm out with, what I've learned, and then they try and reinforce that as well. And then we look out for things. So for example, if I've done a pest and disease content on the Friday, whilst we're out surveying, we especially look for pest and disease that I can look for, any fungi and stuff like that, which is helpful.
Yeah. So as far as like, I guess, materials, and do you get like guidebooks and things that you can, that like, because I know there's species books out there and things like that. So that stuff you kind of take along with you almost sometimes when you're going out to site, then help you.
Yeah, definitely. There's a wide range of books that I use. And there's college has got an online library, which is helpful. So you can use their resources as well. And then, nowadays there's loads of apps that you can use. TMA fungi is really helpful. It has all the different tree fungi on there. And the different guides different guides that I bring out with me, just to help me identify trees, which are more difficult to identify.
It sounds too like, it's because you mentioned you do like your own, like you don't have to go in person to do classroom, and so everything's online, and even the resources now are coming online, so it makes it very, I guess, 21st century is what, in an industry that hasn't always been very 21st century. I think anyone working in the ARB kind of sector would agree, probably in the last 20 years, the technology has just flown, like just kind of surpassed probably expectations. So I'm going to give you a bit of a break, Grady. I'm going to switch back to Tyra for a moment. Could you, Tyra, just give us a bit of an idea, if someone is like, oh, they hear Grady talking about how, it works, how it impacts their work, how would they go about getting the ball rolling if this is something that they were interested in doing?
Yeah, so first of all, always speak to your manager, obviously, so that you get their approval as well. If you're not so sure about what you want to do, just reach out to me. I'm always happy to jump on a Teams call as well. Sometimes it's nice to just have that conversation rather than over emails. So I can go through any questions. I used to work for a provider before, so although I don't know every single apprenticeship back to back out there, I've got the knowledge from a provider, so I know that kind of stuff to look out for, what makes a good provider, and just like kind of the basics, so I can go through that with them. There's a couple of forms, GC Grow forms, so ones they've discussed with me, discussed with the manager and got approval. I'll just need those forms in. So I just get those emailed over to me, and then I reach out to the provider and get the ball rolling. With all the providers, there's either some, so like the one Grady's on, you can't just enroll any month. They have specific enrollment months, but a lot of them, majority of them, to be honest, are roll on, roll off. So you can kind of start whenever ish. So yeah, that's how you get it going.
Okay, brilliant. Is there any I can't talk today. Sorry. Is there any myths that you would like to debunk about the program?
Yeah, so a big one is if people have maybe studied at university in the past and done so they're doing that like really high qualification at degree level, it doesn't mean that you can't then go and do a level 2 apprenticeship or a level 3 apprenticeship. Just because you've got a degree in something, if it's not relevant, it doesn't matter what the level is. So I always use the example of if I wanted to do a level 7 in hairdressing, but I was an engineer, but was a really high level engineer, I couldn't just go straight into that level 7 hairdressing. I'd need to start off at maybe a 3, and so that's a good myth that I'd like to debunk.
Yeah, no, that's good, because I think for those that are a bit more settled in their careers that may have done like a bachelor's degree, I don't even want to say like 15, 20 years ago. I'm aging myself. This is something that you could, the world is changing, and upskilling is kind of necessary almost at every level. So this is a great way of going about it, because it's partially funded, isn't it, through the business? So it
is, yeah. So it doesn't cost anything for anybody wanting to do this. It's funded by ground control, which is great as well, because like Grady mentioned, you in your job, you're earning money, but you're getting this qualification paid for, so it's great.
A lot cheaper than a degree.
Yeah,
a lot cheaper than a degree. Oh, brilliant. So I'm going to end on one more question for you, Grady. But first, I would just want to acknowledge a congratulations, because I do understand you got a recognition of achievement award for your apprenticeship. So I just want to say a well done there. I think it sounds like it was well deserved. You put a lot of work in to achieve that. So well done there.
Thank you very much.
And so obviously you've been going through the apprenticeship for a while now. You've even done the grad program. I guess, what advice do you have for someone maybe looking to study through GC Grow, or go kind of the path that you've been going for the last year or so?
Yeah, so I'd just say definitely go for it. If you're interested and you're actually keen to learn, because there's a lot of self-study and you have to be self-motivated, but if you've really got an interest, it's a great opportunity to build your knowledge up whilst gaining hands-on experience. And yeah, you just get to apply what you learn to your everyday day-to-day tasks. So yeah, it makes a huge difference, and it reinforces the learning. And it's a solid way to get a qualification. Whilst earning money.
Yeah, brilliant, perfect. Tyra, any last things you'd like to add?
Just please get in touch with me. Even if it doesn't amount to anything, just having a conversation with me, then always happy to help.
Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I really appreciate it. And hopefully, this will help people maybe realize what opportunities there are here at Ground Control for them to help develop in their careers. So thank you both very much, and I will catch up with you soon.
Thank you,
Jess.
Thank you. And that's it for us today. If you or your team have an exciting project going on and want to share, please reach out and we'll get you on the podcast. Until next time, take care.